Parties Are for Losers is a series of songs by the producer Ferry which tell a narrative surrounding an Eastern European city and its anomalous zone which produces mutants. The story mainly follows the characters Yura, a high school gangster who often attends underground parties to cope with his life, Sanya, a rebellious teen girl who wishes to break free from the strictness of her brother, and Katya, a mutant that escaped from a nearby facility, and many more characters as the story progresses. Like any other story, alongside the main characters are side characters such as the hot-headed Tsar and his nonchalant friend Arthur. One of these characters is an eccentric scientist named Dr. Temnova. Dr. Tatiana Temnova, more commonly known as Dr. Temnova or Tanya, is your stereotypical mad scientist. In fact, her devotion and interest in science are mentioned multiple times, one of them being in the official song description of the 9th song of the series and her first appearance in the story, Comfort Zone, where the first sentence Ferry writes is, Dr. Temnova loves her job. As simple of a statement this is, it easily highlights how Temnova thinks about science. It isn't a grueling task or chore, it is her love. It's her life's work. Another quote from the description also shows this. When describing her upset with terminating subjects in the facility and how she has protested against the idea, Ferry notes, her arguments have too much to do with pure scientific interest and too little with risk prevention costs. Which goes to show how Temnova values science and scientific interest more than anything. Despite the clear cost issues that come with keeping certain subjects, she still argues they should be kept with little evidence to back up why other than just science. Despite how random this seems, this is one of the reasons why Dr. Temnova is related to the anomalous zone. More specifically, Dr. Temnova is what caused the zone to appear, or is a representation of the zone itself.
Но вы же сами говорили, что зона – порождение сверхцивилизации, которая…
Тоже, наверное, скука.
The zone, as titled in the series, is quite literally an area the size of a small country where a catastrophic event occurred 50 years before the story takes place. Due to this event, the area seems to almost be alive, creating many anomalies. Children born to adults that have had prolonged contact to the zone are born with mutations, which can be as mild as albinism or as extreme as telekinesis. Both of these factors causing it to be of major scientific interest. The allure of science is what most likely drew Dr. Temnova to work in a facility near the zone, and with mutants, which wouldn't make it too unrealistic of an idea that she, herself, created it. Not to mention the implications of Like a Dog, a song in the series. The official description of the song is, you should never ask a woman her age. For instance, Dr. Temnova is about 50 years older than she appears. This eerily lines up with the history of the zone, as it first appeared 50 years before the main story. Temnova also physically looks to be middle-aged, 20 to 30 years old at least, which also lines up with the fact that the zone creates many anomalies. If it can give a teenager telekinesis, extensive flesh growth, or cyborg body parts, slowing down the process of aging may not be too far off. Adding on, Like a Dog gives a lot of clues as to how Dr. Temnova is related to the zone within its lyrics. The opening of the song is, Now, the creator of Parties Are for Losers, Ferry, often draws inspiration from other media or real events. Throughout the music video of Like a Dog, images of the cleanup of Chernobyl are shown. The Chernobyl disaster is a well-known and catastrophic event in which a reactor exploded at the Chernobyl power plant. The explosion not only killed 2 engineers present at the scene, but also gave many others burns. Not only this, but radiation was spread throughout the nearby area, giving animals mutations and cancer. The description of the zone by Ferry is extremely similar to this incident. Both were caused by catastrophic events, both created anomalies in the nearby areas, and both took place in Europe. In response to a Tumblr ask, the story of Parties Are for Losers was even described by Ferry as being extremely niche and mostly rooted in Slavic culture. The second line specifically shows how Dr. Temnova is connected to the zone. Taking into account how similar the zone is to Chernobyl, the lyric, I looked into the maw of a burning reactor, could describe the viewpoint of someone who is witnessing a similar event. More precisely, the incident that created the zone. Since the song is sung from Temnova's point of view, it's clear that this, at the very least, proves that Dr. Temnova was there when the zone was created. Another line from Like a Dog supports the idea that Dr. Temnova is related to the zone. Specifically, the second verse of the song, which is, This one line reveals many things about Dr. Temnova and her nature, like many lyrics in the song. First of all, the metaphor, a gear in the machine, has multiple meanings. A gear is one small part of a whole machine. Dr. Temnova is one small part of something bigger. This makes sense due to the fact that she's a side character, but it also supports the idea that she is connected to the zone in some way. Seeing Temnova as the cause of the zone's creation places her as one small part of the zone's story, which includes the main cast, the anomalies, mutants, government labs and facilities, and many other things. The way a gear works is that they transmit power or force onto other gears, which is a reference to how Dr. Temnova created the zone, which in turn caused all the other events of the main story. Machines are also typically made to perform work, not to think or focus on emotions. This also reflects Temnova's character as shown in the series. Unless something comes to science, Temnova does not seem attached to anything emotionally. Science is her entire life, and working as a scientist is her main focus. The second part of this line, grew immune to corrosion, could be a nod as to how Temnova stopped aging, or ages at a slower rate. This, again, proves that she is connected to the zone, as her exposure to the zone, or creating it, could have had effects on her such as anomalies or mutations. Parties Are for Losers overall is a beautifully written series with details hidden everywhere. Although she just seems like a mad scientist on the outside, there is definitely much more to Dr. Temnova. We have yet to learn more about her other than directly from Ferry or unless a new song includes her. Yet, it's interesting how big of a role she could really be playing in the story, even as a side character. And if Dr. Temnova really does have a bigger role, what other characters that are hidden on the sidelines could be really doing more behind the scenes? Thanks for sticking around to the end on this video. It's my first time making a video essay, so my vocals and editing are probably all over the place, but I appreciate your attention. This video was so fun to make, and I'd like to thank some of my friends for encouraging me to make this. I love Parties Are for Losers, like genuinely, it's such a good series. You should definitely go check it out by yourself. I'll link it in the description, like the playlist or the first song or something. But yeah, thank you.